What a week, listeners. Hello, here with Tom Blass, Chris Amadeo, and the microphone. How you doing, buddy?
No, not too bad, buddy. How about you?
Wonderful. And that was a dog, too, if you can hear them all barking.
Oh, yeah. We have a studio audience tonight.
We do. Bone, Ruff. You know what we should do? We should have them on as a guest one day. Hey, dogs.
All right, Chris.
Yeah. Remember that? I have to tell you, that was one of the best dogisms part of this whole show that we've been doing with the bark, hey, Chris. and then the bark, hey.
Yeah, me. I'm here. Yeah. That was good.
It's been a rough week and it's only Wednesday. I know you make fun of me sometimes. We're like, you don't have a real job, Chris. You don't work. But I have to tell you, the last 3 weeks have just been absolutely crazy. And I felt that I've been working literally nonstop.
Well, it happens sometimes, man. You know, busy seasons. What's been so busy? Have you seen a lot of people buying or refinancing? Like, what's the main kind of thing you've been doing?
It's getting in the refis now because they haven't started and now rates are actually going up. The upward trend has begun and it's like you gotta start moving forward if you wanted to refinance. If you haven't, you probably have until about the summertime, I would say, to do it, because I think the buying market's going to continue. And the problem is the aftermath of a buying market continuing is rising rates. Because these low rates, just because of the pandemic and COVID, you want to assume that it's going to kind of come to an end. So they're going to just continue to go up now, because this never should have happened. I said it on a couple of other podcasts. These low rates never should have been. We probably, this would be a refinance boom from the fives right now, I think. If COVID never happened and the pandemic did not happen, we would have been in a summer of the fives this year. Now, with all of the negative news with that bullshit in China, that would have lowered rates back to 4. So everyone that bought over the summer would be like, can't believe it. Now I need to refinance out of my fives. It's a weird rate world that we're in.
Yeah. And as long as people keep buying houses, which, like you said, I don't think is going to stop either, then eventually rates are going to catch up.
They might stay low, though. They might stay under 3, which I still think is a good rate at the end of the day. Being in the 3s is still good. I mean, it's such an annoying conversation to have with people when they're like, 2875. Really? Yeah, it's not that bad. It could be worse. Pretty good. Like, what do you want? Under 2.5? Good luck. So on my pricing models now, they really are trying to get out of the 2s now. They're trying to make 3s the norm again. But the thing is, you can't just one day go 2875 to 3 1/8 or 3. You have to really creep it up, because 2 and a 3, when you're buying something and you see something for $19.99 and you see something for $21.49, it's like $21.49, but then $19.99 is that number. I can spend $20.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like having to break the 5 and not give 20 and 2 singles.
Right. Yeah, it is. At that point, it is kind of a game. It's like how your brain interprets the number and less about the number itself. I'm curious, since you mentioned the bullshit in China, I'm looking to see if there's any kind of follow-up on that Evergrande company. And it looks like as of now, the only real follow-up is that the trading of their shares in the Hong Kong market have been suspended. So who knows? But it looks like maybe somebody's going to buy them out. Like there's going to be a takeover. So who knows? They're also going to sell off $5 billion of their property.
Be a curveball for China if some American company comes in and buys it.
That'd really shake things up. Yeah.
We fucked up, guys. Speaking of China, I went to the dollar store today, and it just seems like every time I go to this one dollar store close to my house, something happens. And obviously, I go into a dollar store, I think China, because everything there was bought probably on Alibaba it's called.
Yeah.
There we are in line. We got 4 items. Marlon bought these little glass to put water and little plants in. And, lo and behold, there's somebody in front of me. And while that person is checking out, she had about 400 fucking pennies for her 4 items. So I was like, let's not go into the one line with the woman with all the shit. let's go here because it's quicker. But I was wrong. And while she was counting her 400 pennies by twos very quickly, there was another person that came in. And I guess what ended up happening was she needed to return something, 2 items she needed to return. So I guess she waited in the long line before. She put them there and says, oh, I'd like to return these and grab 2 others. And so the cashier said, okay, take those with you and go get the other 2 items that you need to return. It took her about 2-3 minutes to do that. Then she came back to the front in hopes to get taken right away for her return. But then the cashier said she has to wait at the back of the line. And dude, she was not happy. I said to Marlon as we were walking out, I'm like, well, if she had a gun, I'm pretty sure she would have shot up the place because she was not happy. She ended up being, I am stealing these. And she walked out because I am not waiting in that line.
Wow.
And then the store manager goes, give me your name. Give me your name. Yeah, the fucking woman's going to give you her name.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. My name is Sally.
Sally Smith. I live on 123 Main Street. Come find me.
And as annoying as it was, though, I kind of think she was right. She shouldn't have to wait back in line again. They were kind of wrong because she waited in line first to say she needed to return something. And then they said, well, go grab them. And then what? She's going to have to wait in line again. It was a pretty long line. Like, why should she have to wait twice? And the manager was there. Like she was already causing a stink. You should just come here, you annoying twat, and we'll take care of this quick. Why make it an ordeal?
I think 2 things. I think the first is she went about it wrong because normally what you do, if you've got the receipt, right, you keep the 2 things that you bought that you want to exchange. You go find the other 2 things, and then you present it all to the cashier at once after you've waited in line one time. You go find the stuff first, and then you wait in line. And when you get to the cashier, you say, look, I bought these 2 things. Here's my receipt. I want to exchange them for these 2 things that I just picked out. The second thing is, who returned something to a dollar store?
Well, obviously, you know why she didn't have her receipt then.
Exactly. When I used to work retail, people did that all the time. They'd walk around the store, where I live, there's a fair amount of scumbaggery. And they'd putz around the store and pocket stuff when nobody was looking. And then they'd come up to the register and be like, hey, my girlfriend bought me all this stuff for my birthday. And like, I didn't know, she didn't know what she was buying. So I don't have a receipt. So, I guess I'll just take a gift card or whatever, but I'll just return this stuff. And I'd be like, oh yeah. I'd be like, hang on. And then I'd go over to the shelf where it was. And lo and behold, there'd be that one thing not sitting there. And it's like, that was on the shelf before. When she buy it? And then they're like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'll just take it. I was like, no, let me see it. And then let me just run out to my car quick. Here, I got to go get my ID anyway. And then they just disappear.
Yeah, well, I guess I can answer the same question. Why didn't she just have a receipt is the same reason why a woman came and bought 4 items with 400 pennies.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's in this day and age, the penny really is absolutely pointless.
I almost wanted to be like, well, wait a minute. I'll pay for those in cash. Let me keep all your pennies.
Why? You think there were more than 400 pennies there?
No. Just because there's like a shortage of coins, right? So it's almost like she had a gold mine of pennies. Let me take all of those pennies from you. And I can see it now though. She's like, wait, why do you want all these pennies? Because and then she's like, you know what? I'm not going to buy these things. I'm going to keep these pennies.
That's interesting that you bring up the coin shortage because I haven't heard anything about that in a while. And I wonder, is there still a coin shortage?
Probably not. I would have to assume there's not a coin shortage because not a lot of people are going out and buying things like they used to, or they're just charging stuff again.
No, as of 3 days ago, I guess it says, that the U.S. is experiencing a record coin shortage. United States, according to CBS News, United States Mint Director is calling for people to spend their change as country is hit by coin shortage. I'll spend my change.
I don't understand how there's
what's it worth to you?
I don't understand how there is a coin shortage. Just make more coins. There's so much money. How about we just take a couple of the bills back and just make them into coins? Or is the cost of coin making gone up and they really can't make pennies or something?
I think I know it costs more to make the penny than the penny is worth, which to me seems like bad economics 101. That's like the first thing that I would like cut if I were if I were in control of the mint. I'd be like, all right, well, this is an obvious like profit hemorrhage, so let's get rid of this. That seems like a no-brainer.
Eliminate the penny then. Make some sort of tax rule where you either round up to the nearest 5 cent or round down to the nearest 5 cent and basically, I don't know, just figure it out to not have pennies in circulation. There's got to be a way to do it. If it means that
there's got to be.
If it meant that pennies needed to be obsolete and it just meant like you have to either pay maximum 4 cents more on anything and everything, I think I'm okay with that. If we buy everything like that we buy and it like just goes up 4 cents, I mean, do we really have a problem with that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I'm sure, I guess if you were a real like hardliner for a cash society, you would say that the idea of individual cents benefits people who use cards rather than cash. So, I mean, maybe.
But you know what,
if
Tom?
It was across the board, then I don't know. I don't see a problem with it one way or the other.
There are people who do track everything down to the last penny. And maybe that's why, again, I'm kind of where I am in life, because I personally don't care about pennies. Like I've hit that. Like I'm not going to worry about being shorted 4 cents. And even if I bought, we'll call it 20 items one day, or when we go to the grocery store, maybe I buy 50 items. 50 times 0.04 is an extra $2. I'm actually not that concerned about $2. Now, I know $2 for some people is a lot of money, and for the people who need $2, my sympathy goes out to them. And yes, I feel bad for that, and I'm going to say this, but $2 isn't going to make me go crazy. Like, I'm not going to be upset about $2. And if that meant that pennies are out of circulation, because I fucking hate when I get pennies. I get annoyed when somebody gives me 74 cents back.
Yeah.
That's one of the most annoying fucking things. That should be illegal. You cannot give somebody back 74 cents because now that's 2 quarters, okay? That's 2 dimes and 4 pennies. You're literally giving someone a bunch of extra change.
3 quarters and 4 pennies. Or no, it wouldn't be 3. Yeah, 74. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah. 74 cents is the worst change amount to get.
And dude, what about 99 cents?
Yeah,
that's annoying.
A pain in the ass too.
And there are people who give 99 cents back, and it's at like small businesses where it's just, as a small business owner, you should be the one that's like, you know what, we're okay with penny shortages. We'll round down. Or there just needs to be like an American thing where if it's 3, it rounds to 5, and if it's 2 or 1, it goes back down. It should just be one of those things where we're going to get the penny out of circulation. Everyone, it's going to be an unwritten rule now moving forward that if it's 3 or 4, it goes to the 5th, and if it's 1 or 2, it goes down to 0.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a way when they work with the taxes, if the sales tax is X, they should incorporate a different sales tax or just eliminate it. I know this sounds ridiculous, but if there is a shortage, rather than being like, everyone use your change, because then what? What are they going to do? Everyone use their change, and when they go to the bank, they're going to keep the change away. There's probably value to coins. They probably want people to use it so that eventually when they go to the banks, they can get it back and not put it into circulation. Imagine if here, the whole point of us being in a shortage is because they're trying to take it all back.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to take it all back so they can melt it down and then sell the raw material because it's like worth more than what it's worth as a currency. That'd be something.
I knew I should have bought that bitch's pennies. As a pain in the ass that she was, not only was she a pain in the ass, she's stupid for getting rid of them all.
Yeah, no, I think prices on like copper and metals and stuff like that are well, I know they were low for a long time. I'm pretty sure they're low right now. Let's see.
Or because we already pay taxes on our money, just eliminate the sales tax and everything has to be whole numbers. Cricket. I'm surprised the fucking dog didn't bark just now.
Hey, listen, I'm all right with a whole number society too. Change is tough to track. Let's see. Let's look at the price of copper over the last 45 years. Oh yeah, 2021. Yeah, copper is gone way up. It's like up. It's up a lot. So you figure in 2018, right? Copper was 290 something. Well, you figure in 2019, copper was closing at a price of $2.72 and change. 2021, it's $4.20 almost.
Yeah.
And it opened the year at $3.55. That's nuts. Yeah, the penny, that's what it is. The penny is worth more as a raw material. Get in on it.
Yeah, they want to take them back. They want to take them out of circulation. I know it always seems like I'm like the conspiracy theorist, but one of my theories have to be correct. There's no way that everything I say on here is entirely false and I'm wrong all the time. It's a numbers game, so I could say so much crazy shit. One of them are bound to actually be correct.
It's true. Hey, it's the Alex Jones effect, right? You throw enough shit at the wall, something's going to stick, even if it's by accident.
Exactly. That was my annoying day at the dollar store. It's almost like, Chris, don't go to the dollar store. But I needed to. It'd be just, why spend certain amount of money for something that you can get for $1? But then I guess somebody could say, well, you're supporting China, Chris. But it's, I didn't feel like going to Target and spending $11 for what I can literally get for $1. Remember when Target was kind of a store you can go into and not spend a boatload of money? They're a lot more expensive than they used to be.
Yeah, I've seen that kind of transition happen with a couple stores in my area. There's one it used to be Shop and Save, and now it's Hannaford. Hannaford used to be just a regular grocery store. It was always a little bit nicer than like your average, I don't know, cheaper grocery store. And it was only marginally more expensive, enough where it was worth the convenience of going there. But now I go there and I'm like, this is getting a little too Whole Foods for me. Like, and it crept up there. It was a slow change, but the other day I was in there and I noticed it. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Whole Foods was one of the most disappointing business transactions of the decade when Amazon purchased them.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where I actually forgot Amazon bought Whole Foods and I'm in there and what pops up is like, ooh, enter in your Amazon Prime thing. And it's just like, fuck, I forgot.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, now I'm here. Like, do I just put my cart aside and walk out? Like, now what?
The Amazon guy actually made a comment saying that I think we should treat our employees a little bit better.
What a novel idea.
Oh God, he's another one. You look at him like, I don't understand what it is with Amazon CEOs. They all look fucking weird. I wonder if that's like part of the qualification process to be like an Amazon CEO. Look fucking weird.
Yeah, the board has to approve you, and they start with your headshot, and they're like, "Nah, this guy doesn't look enough like a lizard. He's not strange looking enough. He looks vaguely human, and I don't like it."
And Bozo did another like little power move where he's like, "Oh, we got to get William Shatner in space so that they can get all of the fans of Shatner was Star Trek, right?
Yes.
All of like the Star Trek fans be like, he deserves it. He deserves it. So now I have to say that was a good business decision because now you have all of the people that were probably complaining about it who were like Trekkies that are like, yeah, these assholes going into space, with all this stuff going on. Okay, William Shatner, he can go into space. I was thinking, though, if he dies in space, it would be actually okay because so many people would be pissed off that he died on Bezos's watch.
Yeah,
I hope Shatner takes one for the team.
The airlock has failed. I am running critically low on oxygen.
I didn't realize how old he was, 90 years old. He's like the youngest 90-year-old looking person I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's true. He was whatever elixir Betty White made, he's been sipping it as well. Because, he doesn't look like that. And I mean, there's people who are like 20 years younger than him who look 20 years older than he is.
He must have been hanging out with the Democrats.
Yeah, maybe. He's got that adrenochrome, right?
That's right. That's right. Dude, I want to know what he does have. He definitely has something. You do not look like that at 90.
I mean, I think it just comes from, he acted for a while. He's always had pretty easygoing acting gigs. And he just, he strikes me as a person who's just generally even keel, like unfazed. He strikes me as the type of guy who just, and maybe I'm wrong, everybody has a persona in Hollywood and everybody's different behind, when the cameras are off or whatever, but he just seems like a pretty easygoing guy. And I know the people who worked with him in Star Trek, like the chick who played Uhuru, they were all saying that he was kind of a dick. And I think maybe that is part of why he is just so chill all the time. Cause he's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to get what I want. Like, and like, I think he probably has just had a pretty easy experience of it all.
That day you wake up and not really care is a very good day. I actually did have that a while ago, but then like work got, I guess, stressful. So like you can't be like William Shatner, like, like that. But do you remember the day you did wake up and you're just like, fuck them, just in general?
Yeah. There is a day where like, I don't know exactly when it happens, but yeah, there is like a transition that happens where you go to like, oh man, like I need to make all these people happy so I can like, feel good about myself to where it's like, like I don't really give a shit. Like at the end of the day, I'm still going to live and I'm still going to, I'm still going to be able to do what I want to do. So yeah, fuck these people. Like, I mean, I'm going to try and do my job, but like, if it doesn't work, I'm not going to take it personally. It's not my fault. I tried. So
like, do you remember in high school when we used to go to school dances or go to the mall? We wanted to make sure our shoes looked good. We had nice jeans, nice looking shirt. And you're just very concerned about the shoes were like the most important thing, like having nice shoes.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you what now, my mother bought me a pair of these, what kind of sneakers are they? They're the sneakers with no laces and they're just comfortable. They were cheap. They must have been like less than $20 at Old Navy. And they're just slip-on shoes. My dad used to have a white pair, but my mother got
like boat shoes, or are we talking just like
not boat shoes? They're you see them and you're just like, ugh, those shoes. Like they're just like they're like
the Keds, like the slip-on. They're like just like canvas.
My dad used to wear them. Like it was like it was a Steve shoe when he was 50. And I was always just like, I don't know why my dad's wearing those shoes. So my mother bought them for me. And I told her I love them. I put them in the closet. I know she's going to listen to this and be like, oh, my son's mentioning me in his podcast. So I put them in the closet and I didn't really wear them. And then I put them on. And I'm like, these are actually pretty fucking comfortable. I'm like, they don't really look nice, but they're comfortable. So I started wearing them because I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Why care about a really super expensive sneaker on my foot that where halfway through the day I'm going to be like, kind of tight anyway. It kind of hurts. I can wear these shoes all damn day. And so I started to. Like I actually worn them out. And I'm like, I just didn't care. And it seems to be like the same thing with clothes sometimes too. Like, if I'm chilling around the house or if I'm going somewhere, I'll wear the same shirt 2 days in a row. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I remember I hit that point when I was like, it was after I had started mortgage banking. And I remember I said to myself, like, like I'm going to make sure that like, I was very concerned about my appearance at that point because, I was in the Army, so I was fit and I had like suits on every day. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to dress for the lifestyle I want. Right. And then after I stopped doing all that and, a couple of years go by, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't give a shit. Like if I'm just going to the store down the street and that's my only thing to do for the day, like outside of the house, like I'm going to go in sweatpants. Fuck it.
If you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing besides keep every single penny that you ever collect in your life, what would you tell your earlier self? Now, not to say like, ooh, put all your money on this, Super Bowl or something like that. But if you could tell yourself one thing when you were younger, that's not really like, become a doctor, like something stupid like that. But what would you tell yourself? Like a piece of advice to go through life moving forward.
Right. So if I have to give my younger self advice without really let's say I can't allude too much to the future or tell him lottery numbers or anything like that, I'd tell my younger self, honestly, I'd be like, you know what, dude, like you're not fat.
You're not fat?
Yeah. Okay. I'd be like, listen, all right. In 2021, you're going to look down and you'll be like, oh, that's fat. Okay.
Okay. All right. Mine would be simply don't care. Don't like, that feeling when you woke up when you were like 28 or whatever it is, not caring anymore. I would tell myself, wake up now, go to sleep, wake up the next day and just not care. Now, not to a point where you're literally just careless, like Office Space. Don't care. I mean, don't care about what other people think.
Okay.
Let's just say maybe you thought you were fat because you cared about what other people thought. Right. So I guess that kind of correlates where tell yourself, who gives a fuck if you're fat? Unless it's a health thing, don't care.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm, completely just apathetic to my appearance now. Like I still do what I can to try and look good, but like, yeah, like I have a gut now, and you know what? It's fine. I don't care. It's not, maybe I carry it well, maybe I don't, but I don't really give a shit. You know what? Like, I'm not going to let it get me down because I don't, I'm happy. So it's whatever. But yeah, I remember back when I was younger, it was always like, I was working out all the time. And like, I used to be like, you could always look better, and then now here I am. And I'm like, that didn't matter nearly as much as I thought it did. So yeah, but again, yeah, it does kind of factor back into like, just stop caring so much, not
much. In a sense of like, don't, you know what I mean? It's just don't care about the things that subconsciously eat away at you. That's the thing. I feel like if a lot more people acted that way, we would be in a better state of life. I think everyone would be. Maybe we're lucky because we're in America and we're allowed to just simply not care. Clearly, if we're in other countries, if you don't care, you get taken out back and your head blown off for some reason. But here, we do have the luxury of not caring. And I think if more people just had that feeling of not caring, I think it'd be good. It'd be good not to care what other, like, wear your ugly sneakers.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, sneakers, what I would tell myself back in high school, sneakers don't get you laid.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I mean, like, it ultimately, what it boils down to is like, wear what makes you feel the best about yourself. And like, that sounds totally corny, but it really is the truth. You are the one who ultimately has to sell yourself, like, to the rest of the world. So just like, wear, feel, act, whatever way is going to help you be the best at projecting yourself onto the world. And like, that's what's going to get you laid.
But, what I would do though, if we actually had like a Chris and Tom YouTube channel where we did videos, if you and I are talking, it doesn't matter about the shoes. Sneakers don't get you laid. And then there's like this really good looking guy that walks in like wearing these like $400 Nikes, and it goes to the group of girls that are like, God, look at those shoes. I really want to fuck them.
Yep. Yeah. We just look at each other like, fuck.
And there we are, like with a hole like by the big toe, and it's just like sticking out of the shoe.
Yeah, I've got like shoes that I bought on Wish like 10 years ago, and like the sole's coming off.
I wish we could start doing some skits. I wonder what what it is. What do we actually need? Because our phones are supposedly really good video.
Oh yeah.
I feel like holding the phone, like it's going to be shaky.
Yeah, you're going to get some vertigo or something trying to watch a video. Well, no, they got like the app that I use, a Power Director. It has a motion stabilizer. You could just set a point that you want it to focus on, and then if things are moving around, it stabilizes it so that point stays in the center of the video, and the screen kind of, everything sort of moves around it. So as long as it's not moving too much, it can kind of keep things level.
That'd be a fun video to just do. We'd have to ask Scott because he always has nice sneakers.
Yeah. He does always have nice sneakers. Scott's shoe game is on point all the time, I will say. But that's because I think because he's young. Because remember when we were his age, I don't know if we were as on point, but we always felt like we were as on point.
No, his shoe game's it is on point.
Which dog is that? They agree.
Yes, they are. They are.
Scott's shoes. I want to eat them. Yeah. Speaking of shoes, have you had any good Aldo's experiences lately?
I bought a bunch of Aldo's shoes during the summer. I've worn out 2 of my summer shoes this summer. I got a couple of winter boots. I just got to be smart not to wear them while I'm snow blowing. But knowing me, that's how I normally ruin my winter boots because I'm too lazy to put on my actual snow boots and I wear other boots.
Oh, I see.
And in Pennsylvania, you need snow boots.
Yeah, no, you need if you're going to be in the Northeast and you're going to be in the snow for any length of time, you need the boots that are like Gore-Tex. Although I was just watching a thing on Gore-Tex. It was on John Oliver did a special on it. And apparently Gore-Tex is something that's like really, really bad for the environment. I don't know if you saw that. Mm-mm. But yeah, they were 3M, I guess, was 3M and DuPont, I guess, worked together to make like they're called PFAS, and it stands for like, polycarbonate fluoride, whatever. But it's they're apparently everywhere in the world, and every human being has them in their blood. Now everybody's got this type of plastic in them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, right? That's really good. You and me got plastic in our blood.
Doesn't surprise me. I'm sure I got other stuff in my blood too that I'm not aware of.
Well, yeah.
So does Charlie Sheen.
Well, I was going to say Charlie Sheen had that for a while, but then it unfortunately found out. I wonder whatever happened. I know those two women that were with him were going to sue him, or they did sue him, because they obviously didn't know that he was, a carrier of an uncurable illness. So I wonder how that ever turned out. I wonder if they ever got.
Yeah, but I'm sure Charlie Sheen's also the type of guy who doesn't get tested because he knew he probably had something. So if he can be oblivious to it.
Yeah. I don't think. I don't think it was a surprise to him. He probably got the results of the test, and he was just like, yeah.
Who's Nikki Haley?
Nikki Haley. She's some sort of politician, I think. Nikki Haley. She's the former governor of South Carolina. She's an American diplomat and politician who served as the 116th and first female governor of South Carolina from 2011 to 2017, and as the 29th United States ambassador to the United Nations for almost 2 years, from January 2017 to December 2018. She is a Republican.
She's possibly thinking about it. She didn't officially say she's running for it, but she's contemplating it, and it doesn't matter whether or not Trump is going to run. So I guess she's going to try to put a name out for herself. That's our political news for the day.
Yeah, well, why not? She was born Nimrata Nikki Randhawa. So that's cool, at least.
Good for her.
She's a second governor of Indian descent after Bobby Jindal, who, he was in Louisiana. I remember him during the Republican race. I thought he was, I didn't agree with a lot of his policies, I guess, but as a person, I thought he seemed like he was all right. He was kind of a likable guy. He was one of those guys when he talked and you heard him talk, he was like, yeah, okay, all right. Like this Bobby Jindal character, like if I met him at like a dinner party, let's say, and like we're at some sort of business mixer or something, and he's there, and him and I just got shooting the shit. Afterwards, I'd be like, you know what, that guy was all right.
I have to assume most politicians are probably half decent people, and they just have terrible views. Doesn't mean that they're real pieces of shit. I mean, I'm sure I could probably have a 2-3 hour conversation with Rick Santorum.
Yeah. It's true.
And for all we know, his wife got 3 abortions, and he is just a Republican. And because he's a Republican in a super blue state, he has no choice but to say, no, those are bad. Look at all the Republicans who are actually homosexual.
Yeah, it's true.
They're just anti-gay publicly, but then behind closed doors in the closet, they're gay.
Yeah, I always default back to politics is like professional wrestling. It's all there in front of the cameras. Everybody hates each other, but at the end of the day, a lot more people are friends than they appear. And I wonder if a lot of politicians in general just aren't the amalgam of whoever the big businesses are that support them. Like maybe Bernie Sanders doesn't actually care about healthcare for all or something, but he's just getting some big donors who are like, hey, you're going to go out there and support that. And he's like, but I think poor people ought to suffer. And they're like, no, Bernie, you're going to do what we pay. You're going to say what we pay you to say.
It's interesting because you hear a lot of these politicians talk, and it is acting. It wouldn't surprise me if they were all in acting school.
Yeah. I bet
they're very well spoken. You can't just be that well. I mean, I guess you take public speaking and all that stuff, but if I were a politician, if I started now, my speeches would be so blah 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 blah. Like I would speak like I do in this podcast. So it's very scripted. And they practiced it, and they obviously didn't write it. They're not speaking from the heart. Even when you speak from the heart, sometimes you have to gather your thoughts and think about it, and you're going to come off a little like it wasn't rehearsed.
Yeah. If you speak from the heart, you're going to come off like you're rambling, and if you're too rehearsed, then you're not going to speak from the heart. And I do think
Hillary Clinton is a great example of that.
I don't know. She sounded like she had a lot of conviction when she was talking about how gays are bad in the 90s, how that's a threat to the American family unit and everything. Because I think that's probably a cause with which she's actually like morally aligned. But
HBO bought the rights to that and they deleted it.
Maybe there's going to be like an HBO plus where you can buy all the things they hid and like, oh yeah, buy HBO plus and you'll be able to see the Dennis Miller show and also all of Hillary's deleted speeches and the pilot of Louis C.K.'s sitcom.
Oh, that's right. That got shelved.
Yeah, it did. It was terrible. Dude, it was actually like kind of unnerving how bad that was, considering that Louis C.K. was one of the people behind it. And like, okay, like obviously, shit person, whatever. But in terms of like sitcom humor, I thought the guy really had it down. But
yeah, well, for him, it wasn't sitcom. It was sitcom.
God. It's funny. I don't even care. I don't really care for Pete Davidson, right? But Pete Davidson was telling a story in one of his stand-ups where I guess Louis C.K. was a guest on SNL. And so the way the story goes, Pete Davidson just finds out that he gets renewed for a second year, right? It's his first year on SNL. Mm-hmm. He goes through the first year and then he finds out that he's getting renewed. So he's super happy. And I guess he smoked a joint in his dressing room or whatever. And then he goes out in the hallway and Louis C.K. is out there on the other end of the hallway having a conversation with a bunch of people. And he didn't want to butt in. And, he could tell that like they were in the middle of it. So he just like walked around them, like the long way around to like go to the elevators or whatever. And Louis C.K. was like, oh, this piece of shit. Look at him. He's smoking his life away. Like, fuck Pete. He's fucking high. And Pete Davidson was like, yeah, I was high. And I honestly just assumed that like that didn't actually happen. Like I thought like my mind made it up because I was stoned and getting paranoid. So I just said, whatever. And I left. And then, apparently like Louis C.K. really does have a problem with like people who smoke weed, I guess. And then Pete Davidson saying like, Lorne Michaels pulled him in the office and everything. And like that, it turned into a whole thing. But then afterwards, he said, a couple of years go by. And then one day he's like, I'm sitting on the couch and, then this story comes up about these, all these girls coming out. And he's like, and I just said to myself, like, yes. And he's like, and just understand, I wasn't saying that it was good what happened. Obviously it was bad what happened, but like the person that it happened to, Louis C.K., fuck him. And it was like, yeah, I could see that.
He had something go on that you can't even say he's a man. Like he's fucking fucked up.
Like think about the likes of like Aziz Ansari, right? Who got absolutely fucking, and I don't even care that much for Aziz Ansari. I mean, like he's all right. He seems like he might be annoying to be around in person, but as a comedian, I have nothing against him. As a person, I don't have anything against him really. But in terms of like, he had a bad date with a girl, and this girl just blasted him all over Twitter and everything, and was saying that like he was like trying to make out with her and like doing this weird shit and everything, and like I'm just glad that like the American public was able to look at that and be like, well, that just sounds like like the two of you weren't reading each other's signals correctly. And it was just awkward. And then like, he wasn't being like a weirdo about it, cause that's the thing. Like it's being a weirdo. He was being awkward. Yes. Like he didn't understand what was going on, and she wasn't properly kind of conveying her signals. So like the fault was on both parties, and neither one of them ended up walking away with, more than like just a bad memory of like a shitty night. And it was just like, well, that wasn't great. But like to be in a position like Louis C.K. where it's like how do you like what goes through somebody's head where and like I could just hear him too, where he's just sitting there and he's like, hey, you want to come back to my hotel room with me? And then like they come back and he's just like, yeah, you want to yeah, what are you guys in town for? I'm just going to take my pants off real quick. Like, what gets to somebody's head where they're like, yeah, all right, this is the course that things are going in. Like,
this is where, like, Louis C.K. took "Don't Care" a little too seriously.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
You gotta care enough to not do something like that. Like, there's not caring, but then there's like Louis C.K. Like, Louis C.K.ing, I would say. You don't do that.
yeah. You
but he ruined him, dude.
Enough.
He ruined himself. Like, what are you thinking? What goes on in that fucking head to like actually do something like that?
Because doing something like that is completely inexcusable. Like, it's the weirdest, most it's like, it's so bizarre that it's like, I don't know how, like, the next day he was able to like wake up after any one of, and apparently, it happened multiple times, but like, I don't know how any next morning following any of those nights he could wake up and just be like, oh, well, okay, time to keep on going and living my life. It's like, no, you wake up that next morning and you're like, I should talk to somebody.
There's a movie called Little Children. I highly recommend everybody watching it. It's very, very good. It's with Patrick Wilson, Kate Winslet, Jennifer Connelly, and that guy Jackie Earl Hanley. He played who the hell did he play? He was in Green Mile, I think. Or no, he wasn't in Green Mile. I don't know.
Jackie Earl Hanley. Hang on, maybe I'll recognize him by his face.
He was in Shutter Island. He played Freddy Krueger too in the remake A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really? He doesn't look super familiar.
But anywho,
he was in Watchmen.
There's a scene where he gets really fucking weird, and he's a registered sex offender for what he did, and it's basically what Louis C.K. did. So is he a registered sex offender, like officially?
I don't know.
Or
that's a fair question.
Is it one of those things where like he did it and he's just no longer famous anymore? Like he's cut off. Did he get to keep all of his money too? And is he just kind of living like a normal life, but just not famous life? Is it one of those things where he's like, oh, I don't care if I get caught doing this or something along those lines. I have enough money, so it doesn't really matter.
I don't know. I guess, he pleaded guilty to statutory rape. So,
he has to be. He has to be.
I would think that makes you
a sex offender.
A sex offender. I would assume. I know Mario Batali. Well, I thought Mario Batali was, but maybe I'm wrong about that too. Yeah,
it doesn't say. It just says admits to allegations, and I'm sure he just settled. I don't remember if it was that you and I that had this conversation, but there's another show, and I'm not going to say what it's on. It's called Goliath, and it's Billy Bob Thornton as an attorney, and it brings up one very good point where lawsuits are now just settled nowadays. Nothing goes to trial. Like it used to be a point where 20% of cases went to trial and there was a not guilty or a guilty verdict. Now everything is just settled with a lump sum of money and it gets brushed under the rug and there's no actual guilt. It's like 2% or 3% of cases go to trial nowadays.
Jesus. Yeah,
so if you like all the girls that come out against like Louis C.K., for instance, like did any of them actually go to trial and did he get convicted? Or is it one of those things, I did it, here's your check and call it a day? Like where is the guilt? Where is the you're guilty for all of these people that do all this shit? Like Harvey Weinstein, I guess he got guilty, but I know there were settlements too, right?
Well, and then, there were settlements, but it makes you wonder, like sometimes the PR for something like this is obviously worse than even if you're found innocent. Cause at that point, the sensationalism is in being accused and not actually like a trial or anything like that. I think more often than not. So when it comes to, and I'm not saying this is the case often, but it poses the question, could somebody absolutely just like do this, just make it completely an allegation that's completely not based in reality, just for the sole purpose of a paycheck? And the answer is, like, look at it. Look at the fact that somebody's career is ruined after the allegations, right? Versus, if somebody is just eager to sweep this thing under the rug, they're probably going to be likely to, like, yeah, you want $1 million? Cool. Like, he's like, please go away. And again, I don't think that is the case often. I think more often than not, it's easier to believe that people in power abuse their power. And so people who are famous actors and what have you, I think it's much more believable that they would try and use that in like a really shitty way to try and get laid, but, or possibly worse. But, but it does make you wonder, like, is there somebody out there who maybe is completely innocent against whom there was an allegation made? I mean, it's not impossible.
And I'm sure a lot of the advice is settle. Don't let this go to trial. Like, you are an asshole, because, and it's one of the, but let's not even talk about like celebrities and sexual allegations. It goes to like companies too. Like, let's just say there's a product that's out on the market and there is an actual flaw in the product that is hurting people, and it was a negligent way to be built or something like that, like a negligent formula. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And people died or people got sick. Rather than the company, like, they're sued by a bunch of people, and the company goes, we're going to give you and your and the plaintiffs $25 million. The attorney comes back and says, well, they're willing to settle the case and they're willing to give $25 million for everybody's whatever. They take that $25 million. The company is not admitting guilt that they built something so carelessly or negligently. They're just paying the settlement to keep it out of going to trial. Because the people who are now suing, if they don't take that $25 million, it's going to go to trial and they're risking getting zero.
Yep. Yeah. At that point, it's a numbers game. Do you cash out? Do you cash out while the bet's still hot, or do you let it run all the way to the end and possibly lose it all?
So we're at a point where the goal is to settle, and no one gets guilty. The goal is just to settle.
And that's how drug companies get away with really shitty things too. Like Zantac. Zantac was on an anti-heartburn medication for years and years, and now they're finding out as of June of this year that actually back in 2016 they even knew it, that it has cancer-causing substance in it known as NDMA, which is not to be confused with MDMA, which is just a substance that makes you really annoying to your friends. But but seriously, I mean, and something like that gets very minimally reported, if at all, because it's all about just it's a PR spin campaign. Keep this out of the paper. Keep this, let's just minimize this. Let's try and do damage control and keep this out of the paper and keep it out of the public's ear so that we can just kind of make this all go away. And it's like, meanwhile, what if you didn't know? What if you never heard that Zantac was a thing and you had been prescribed it for years? And then let's say the physician who prescribed it to you was an old guy or something. He died, and then you got a new physician, and they put you on something else. Or like, how do you know that you're, and then you develop cancer from it? How do you know that that's where you got it from? You don't.
Exactly, because it's not admitting, there's no fault given. It's just like, again, and this is not a pro or anti-vaccination episode at all. But again, let's just say Pfizer, for instance, their formula caused an issue that people were actually talking about. Let's just say the Pfizer vaccination, and this is not true, but let's just say the Pfizer vaccination caused you to grow a tail. All right. Let's just go something very ridiculous. It caused you to grow a tail. Rather than that going to the courtroom to say that the Pfizer vaccination, they are guilty of adding something that they knew would cause you to grow a tail just because they wanted their vaccine out first, they would not do that. They would say, all right, whatever, it's in there, but it was definitely a mistake. Here's $2 billion to be dispersed between everyone that received our vaccination. But there won't be any guilt because the attorneys will take that settlement because, dude, it's $2 billion.
Yeah.
They're going to get their lump sum of money for their class action case. And then, maybe everybody gets 50 grand for having a tail.
Mm-hmm. I would probably be okay with a tail, to be honest. Like, think about it. If it was a long tail, though, it'd have to be a long tail so I could like hold a beer with it or something.
That'd be pretty sweet. But no, I'm just saying, like, they're going to want to settle because Pfizer's not going to want to be known with they negligently did this and caused this with the vaccine. They would want to settle. Nobody goes to trial anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody goes to trial anymore. And it sucks because there is no guilt.
Right. Yeah. There's no admittance of actual wrongdoing. It's just like everybody settles out of court. Like, all right, let's just go away. And it's like the settling out of court can then almost look like an admission of guilt, even if it's not. But I mean, it's not in that nobody actually gets held accountable. And yeah, you can. It just means that again,
but
you took advantage of your circumstances enough, and you had enough money to be able to throw at this problem to make it go away. And that just seems shitty.
But we're not stupid now because everyone's settling. It's like, oh, all right, well, he's just going to settle.
Yeah.
Or the company's just going to settle. It's gotten to a point that settling is just what everybody does, whether guilty or not. Maybe they're trying to just make it like, lawsuit, settle.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's, I know there's people who there's websites that aggregate different class action lawsuits, and you can hop on them. You don't even have to have ever used the product that in question. You could just say you did. And it's not like they're going to go through, hundreds of thousands of, like they're going to go through each individual person. And yeah, there are people who get like an extra, $50 or something like that for, let's say you hop on one for, I don't know, Red Bull. Cause it says that, the claim was it'll give you wings and it didn't literally give you wings. You could just hop on and be like, yeah, I drank Red Bull and I never got my wings. And I thought that's what was going to happen. And then next thing you know, you'll get like a $15 check or something from whatever the class action settlement ends up being. And it's like, it's dumb that is an exploitable loophole. Like and that in itself is a dumb thing to do, to just hop on a class action lawsuit and do that. But it's also dumb that it can even get to a point where a person can do that. But
yeah, well, don't be careless, people. Just don't be too careless.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be too careless. You got to care a little bit, but only a little bit.
Well, listeners, it seems like we are out of time and decided to give you a very non-political podcast. It's been a while. I feel like I miss these, Tom, where we kind of just talk about bullshit. I think that's kind of how we made our show, was talking about bullshit, but then the world got so fucked up that it's just like, well, we got to talk about this.
Yeah. It got a little out of hand there for a bit. Just everything in general kind of got out of hand. And yeah, I think it's good that we step back for an episode and we're just like, yeah, well, let's return to form, no structure, just real talk,
time out. Cause that's what the show's called. Just kidding.
Ooh, maybe next week we should either have a guest on or do a spooky episode, since it is October.
That is a good idea. Do we have any? So today is the 10th. Next week would be the 17th. And then we have what's interesting? Halloween is on the 31st, which is a Sunday.
Ooh.
So we're going to have we should do 2 spooky episodes. We should do a Halloween special, and then we should just have a spooky episode. Tom and I are going to sing. Just kidding. We are going to do a Christmas special, everyone, and Tom and I are going to do Christmas carols. So you better tune in for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see about that one.
Yes, we will. All right, listeners, we'll either have an interview lined up or we will do something special for next week. We're going to change it back up, get back to our norm again, unless something, fucked up happens. And we'll go from there. Thank you for listening, everybody.
I hope everybody has a great Sunday. God damn it.